Hey, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Taylor. This podcast is produced wholly by me. There's no behind-the-scenes editor or producer. It's not connected to any network or sponsors. It's free for you to listen, always will be. But if you see the value in the Gig Life Podcast, you can leave a tip or a donation. You can find a link in the show notes on your podcast app or at thegiglifepodcast.com. As always, you can subscribe to the podcast in your app and catch up on all the other 100 plus episodes and everything else that's coming up. Right, well, my guest today is the mighty Lachy Doley. Dubbed the Jimi Hendrix of keys, Lachy Doley is one of the greatest blues, soul, rock organ players in the world today. Lachy's mesmerising and viral live performances on YouTube and Facebook have been viewed over 20 million times in the last little while. He's played and recorded with the best: Glenn Hughes, Joe Bonamassa, Jimmy Barnes, just to name a few, and 2022 will see him team up with legendary Roger Waters for his This Is Not a Drill tour. But Lachy's got a brand new album out, Studio 301 Sessions, a 14-piece band, recorded live. It's just fantastic. This is episode 123, and I hope you enjoy my conversation with Mr. Lachy Doley. All right, I think we're rolling. Lachy Doley, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Cool, man.
Excited.
Yeah, glad you're here. Congratulations on the new album.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, your Studio 301 Sessions. That's been out for what, about 3-4 weeks now?
Yeah, 3 weeks now.
Yeah, fantastic.
Came out the 17th, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And some you're hitting the charts, man. You've
I know.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, actually.
Yeah.
Managed to, 13. Crazy.
That's great. That's fantastic. Have you had albums that have charted before? And if you have, what's the feeling like this time around?
Well, this is definitely the best result I've ever had, without doubt. I did get my 2017 album, Love Like. That got to number 40. But so that was the first time I ever charted. And that was, like, I couldn't believe that. That was amazing. And but the thing about that one, I released it like in January, the second week of January or something. So it would have been...
People still listen to their Christmas albums.
That's right. It would have been like the slowest, selling week of all time, So I didn't really have much competition, which was good.
Right. Did you have a say in when that was going to be released? Or when you just didn't know that January was a bit of a slow time?
No, I planned it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, because my fans are pretty loyal. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. Great.
What time of the year I release it. So I actually planned it to release it when there wouldn't be much competition.
Fantastic. Yeah,
which I think is a big reason why that first album got into the charts, because in Australia, I think it had only sold maybe 400 or something like that.
Right.
Maybe 300 or 400. So that was the plan with that one. But it also did make the number one on the jazz and blues charts, which this one did as well. This one got number one on that. And 13 in the album charts, which is just insane, like totally independent.
Yep.
Just pretty much just pre-sales, just me talking all through Bandcamp.
Uh-huh.
I haven't got any figures about what actually went through JB Hi-Fi, their pre-orders, but it wouldn't have been much, I don't think. So, it's I'm really happy and just so thankful to all the loyal fans and supporters I've got out there.
Yeah, that's great. So have you got copies of that in the likes of JB Hi-Fi and that now? So now that people are going into the stores?
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah,
there's a few in there. Only selected ones. It's only the ones that ask for it, really.
Okay.
But I think because it did chart, there's a good chance that it might be in there. This is the first day out of lockdown, so I haven't had a chance to go there, but I will go there and have a look.
It's probably not the first place you want to go after on your Freedom Day. I noticed you've booked months worth of Pilates.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's right.
So 2 days in, how's that going?
Well, I didn't make it today.
Oh.
I didn't make it today. But I went yesterday and I'm really sore.
Are you?
Oh,
Yeah, right.
man. Because I was absolutely killing it for a good kind of year.
Yeah.
And definitely the fittest I've ever been in my whole life, and felt great. Even throughout last year, we had a small break at the lockdown then. But this time I was like, I was just feeling really good and really, really still getting into it. And then the lockdown hits, and then I just had no motivation. I couldn't get myself to do it at home.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything. So I've
That's
gone back to square one.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of similar for me. Like last year, I don't know, it kind of all seemed like a little bit of a novelty. And then it went away, and it's like, okay, we're back to it. And then I started playing soccer again. And we were halfway through the season, and then all of a sudden it's done. It's shut down. Everything's shut down. And it was certainly a lot heavier this time around, I thought.
Yeah, I think I think everyone's felt that way this time.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it's gone on for so long too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still can't compare to Melbourne, I guess.
No.
But,
we're lucky.
Oh, I feel for them down there.
Yep.
But I hope it goes the same way as here. I mean, everything's still going down, so
that's good.
Hopefully they're just a month behind.
Yeah, that's it. Do you have, I was going to ask this later, might as well ask it now. Do you have a tour booked now for this album?
Not really, no.
Mm-hmm.
I've still sort of, I'm still just sort of like trying to do the few shows that I had booked for late last year or the middle of last year.
Right, which have all been sort of shifted.
Yeah, they've just been moved so many times. The last time I played Sydney was March 2020, and I've booked 4 shows in Sydney since then, and every one of them has been moved. So, it's getting it's pretty ridiculous. So I'm just trying to finish off shows. I'm booked for Blues Fest.
Okay, great.
Yeah, which I'm super excited about.
Fantastic.
So that's I've never played there as Lachy Doley, which is
right.
Totally nuts.
So so what group were you a part of when you played up there?
In the past?
Yeah.
Oh, played there with Chase the Sun,
yep.
Ray Beadle, Jimmy Diddle, The Hands.
Once or twice.
Dom Turner, Mighty Reapers. Karma County. Whole bunch. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. that's cool, man. Yeah, heck of a lineup this year for sure.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Yeah.
No, good stuff. All right, man. If it's cool with you, let's roll back to really early days.
Sure.
And talk about your upbringing, musical upbringing, and I know your brother's a keyboard player, piano player. I don't know anything about the rest of your family. Is the rest of your family musical? And for a start, where were you born?
So, Clayton and I, my brother and I, we grew up in Adelaide.
Yep.
Just in the kind of little foothills of Adelaide, back in the 70s and 80s. And, it's beautiful. It was a good place to grow up, Adelaide, I think. I certainly enjoyed it, but we both got out of there when we were about 18. When we turned 18, we kind of both got out of there. So he's 3.5 years older than me.
Okay.
So I just kind of followed him in that sense. But, I mean, as far as family goes, none of our parents were musical. But we did have a piano in the house, and Mum and Dad got divorced before I was even 1, so I didn't even know about, I mean, I just never had my dad hanging around or anything.
Okay.
But my mum was going out with this kind of pot smoking hippie, blues guitar player. called Baz, and and basically he introduced Clay and I to blues music. He brought all these vinyls over and had all these mixtapes, these blues mixtapes and stuff like that, and he'd jam with us, and I think Clayton obviously started trying to emulate, what they were doing on the piano, and pretty quickly got really good. And then I just was like, oh man, I wonder if I can do that as well. And so we both started just jamming with Baz, and then collectively kind of playing in his band. Like Clay would play in Baz's band, and then 3.5 years later I'd go play in Baz's band, and then sort of followed it, following in his footsteps for a lot of the first part of my career. And it went from there, and then I was playing in a couple of cover bands in Adelaide as well, and discovered the organ, and then when I was 18, Clay had gotten the gig with Jimmy Barnes, and it was Deborah Conway, and the band he was playing with, the Mighty Reapers, needed a keyboard player, and I think I jammed with them one time when they came to Adelaide, and they asked Clay about getting me to do it. So I was only going to go to Sydney for about a month and do these gigs and come back, but I loved it so much. You're
still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Just going back to some of those albums that Baz used to bring along, can you think of who some of those artists were? Some of those albums?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of them were like Elmore James, because he liked to play a bit of slide. There was lots of Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker. You always had John Lee Hooker there. Albert King, and then from there it sort of then crossed over into rock and roll and Chuck Berry and Little Richard and all those artists. And then Clay and I both discovered Jerry Lee Lewis from that as well. And that was a big influence on me, Jerry Lee and his style and the way he played. Just a lot of those albums, and with so many great piano players on them, like Otis Spann and Pinetop Perkins. Amazing players on all those old records. Incredible.
Yeah. Was your head always in that type of music, or did you sort of have a stage where you kind of went away into more modern music into your teens, and or was it always sort of?
I've always been into all sorts of music, in a way, but performance-wise, I think it was blues, and then soul and funk, rock and roll in the early days as well. When I was growing up, definitely sort of did that, and definitely got right into the funk when I was like, 16, 17, 18. Just it was all about the groove.
Yep.
Back then, and still am in a big way.
You mean that? I mean, that kind of era, like Meters and Sly and the Family Stone. That kind of funk, or
that probably actually when I was younger, it was more Parliament, funkadelic.
Okay.
A little bit of the Meters, but I didn't really start getting into the Meters so much until I moved to Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was more like the James Brown, Parliament, funkadelic, and all that.
Yep.
That kind of stuff that I got into, and then I discovered, I guess, almost like older funk, I suppose, with the Meters when I moved to Sydney, and just fell in love with all that stuff and all the New Orleans funk. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So that's always been a big thing. And then later in my 20s, then it sort of started, I started to find rock, rather than rock and roll, especially playing with Jimmy, and then lots of other opportunities playing with Glenn Hughes and
Well, let's go there. How did that come about?
the Glenn Hughes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that was through Jimmy. So at the time I was playing with Jimmy, so about 2003 or 4 or something like that, I think it was. And Glenn was in Australia, and he was doing some recording with Jim at his studio. And I just got a call from him asking if I wanted to come down and play some organ on this demo of Glenn's. He was in there and they were working on it. And, and naively, I didn't know who Glenn was back then. It's so ridiculous. I was like, oh, for sure. I mean, generally when Jimmy asks you to do something, you sort of drop everything and you're heading over there anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I did. And and I met Glenn and I was like, wow. And then we, heard this amazing voice on this recording, and I put some organ down, and he was really lovely and really complimentary about what I was doing, and it was, so that all happened pretty quickly, and then I left. I don't know what happened to that song, but a few years later, when he was coming to Australia to do some shows, just some stripped back shows with a string section, acoustic guitar, and he wanted some keys as well, and he remembered me from that, and he asked me to play on that, which I can't remember the year, but maybe 2006 or something like that. It's on DVD. We played at the Basement in Sydney with my half-broken Nord keyboard. It was so sort of, well, I mean, you've probably seen the way I play.
Yeah. I've got questions about that later, by the way.
I treat them kind of a little bit mean, and those early Nords, they didn't like it. They had a problem where this little bit would easily break, and then the key would kind of stick up a bit, stick up like that. So I had like 4 black keys on this keyboard that were up like that, and it was just like really hard to manage, but I just didn't have the money to fix it back then, and I somehow got through it.
Yeah.
With the organ, it's not so bad. It was when I was doing the piano, because if it's sticking up higher like that and then you press it, you're sort of bound to hit it a bit harder.
The velocity changes a bit.
It's like, So it's funny. Yeah, when I look back on that, the videos from that gig, it makes me laugh.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then, and then after that, then did more stuff with him much later when he asked me to play on. We flew me to Copenhagen to play on his solo album, which was an incredible trip as well. We got to play with Chad Smith on a track.
Oh, cool.
And then
was he? Did you play in the room with him? Was it a live?
In the room with him? Yeah.
Awesome.
We're all in the room together. Yeah, the Chili Peppers were over in Denmark.
Okay.
For Roskilde Festival, and so just the timing worked out perfectly. And Chad and Glenn are like best friends. So that was quite a treat.
Yeah, is he as tall as he looks on TV?
He's pretty tall. Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah,
Definitely funny.
Yeah, that's cool. You talked earlier about discovering the organ. So so what was that moment? Who was it that you saw, or was it something that you heard, and how did you seek out the organ?
Well, I guess if I remember correctly, it was I'm pretty sure it was the discovery of Booker T and the MGs.
Okay.
It was probably the first time hearing, or at least noticing properly, the organ, the Hammond organ. And then Clay started playing in a band called Double Whammy, and the organ player in that was a guy called Raph. And so Raph was leaving to go to Melbourne, I think, and they got Clayton to play, and they sort of I think they kind of organized, maybe Clayton was using Raph's old Hammond or something like that. I can't quite remember. But I remember he brought it back home to our house and had it set up in the garage. And I remember, so the very first time I played the organ, I think this is really important, was a real Hammond. and Leslie. You know, the very first time I sat down at an organ. It wasn't a patch in a crappy digital keyboard.
Yeah.
It was the real deal. And I just remember like running my hand up the keyboard, like up to the high notes and screaming it, you know, and the Leslie's just spinning fast. And I was just like, what is this? This is amazing. It's like this incredible sound. And in the garage, I think it was quite a big garage. So had all this, you know, nice kind of reverb, I guess, sort of, you know, the Leslie throwing it all around the room. And it really was a sound like nothing else that I had heard. And the fact that, you know, I'm in command of it, I'm playing it here. And yeah, I'll never forget that moment. And yeah, I think that kind of set the tone for a lot of the love and the way I play the Hammond today. I remember just loving that power and that kind of scream that it had. And yeah, I still do. It's amazing.
Did it take you long to? I mean, when you first sat down there and you said you slid your hand up and down the notes?
Yeah.
Did you get overwhelmed by the sliders and the buttons and the pedals, and was it like?
A little bit. To think the idea of ever being able to master it sort of was intimidating. But
sorry. Did you know much about the Hammond organ before Clay brought it home?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No. So at the same time, Clayton was showing me the drawbars.
Yep.
And he was still fairly new to it as well. I think I just remember it was like, you know, we just bring the first 4 drawbars out. And I think for a year or two or something, that's all I ever had was the 4 drawbars out and nothing else. And that's kind of what I thought you did. And then it wasn't until later, you know, hearing other sounds and people saying, you know, you can use the drawbars, get these sounds and these sounds. And but still it was very much, you know, use this sound or use this sound. And then there's this sound and you'd have that sound for a song, you know.
Yeah.
But over time, that and the Leslie I found a bit intimidating as well, this on and off speed of that, of when to do that. I remember when I first started. And then there was the percussion. I just didn't even worry about that, which is just more like an extra kind of harmonic attack on the note. That did sort of overwhelm me a little bit. So I just kind of stuck to my 4 drawbars for a long time. And the Leslie would be like, you know, I might change it at the start of a chorus or something like that. But as time went on, it just became sort of more of a part of me. So the drawbars, I'm just constantly moving in and out to how I want it to feel. And same with the volume pedal and the Leslie. It's all just a part of, you know, how you want to take it, what sort of dynamic, what mood you want. And, you know, you can move things incredibly quickly, you know, in and out, on and off, to get a certain kind of effect or really enhance one particular thing. It's a amazingly expressive instrument, you know, much more expressive than I think a lot of people think, you know, and especially when in the 3-piece vibe.
Yep.
You know, and you've got all that air and that space to really, you know, play with it. And yeah, it's amazing. I never get tired or sick of playing it, that's for sure.
All right, so I got a few questions about the maintenance and that kind of thing, and the setting up and the lug and and I remember seeing photos. I think this is when you, Joel, and Jackie were last touring in Europe.
Yeah,
see photos in the back of the van and all this sort of stuff. Also, before we talk about the lugging around and that kind of stuff, the maintenance. So how often are you having to spend time on it, looking after it, and is it preventative maintenance, or do you wait for something? Do you wait for something to break and then fix it after, or
a bit of both.
Okay.
The Hammond that I play live, is my 57 C3, 1957 C3. But it's pretty damn reliable. In fact, the only thing that's sort of gone wrong with it lately was a modern piece of technology that I put inside it.
Right.
Which was in a hope to make it more reliable. And
what was that? Can you tell me what that was?
Yeah, I can tell you. Yeah. So basically the Hammond is a giant kind of motor spinning all these different cogs, and the cogs have different frequencies attached to them.
Yep.
So the organ itself, to stay in tune, has to be spinning at the correct speed. If it's going any faster, the organ will be sharp.
Okay.
And if it's going any slower, it'll be flat.
Okay.
And when you play festivals and things like that, they have generators. A lot of them have generators.
Right.
The speed of the motor is completely related to
your incoming
frequency.
voltage and frequency. Yeah, right.
The frequency. So Australia's frequency of our power is
50 hertz, yep.
to 52 or something like
Yep,
that. I can't remember. So it has to be exactly that. But the generators, because it doesn't really, at a festival, if that's a little bit out, it doesn't really affect too much, but it does affect a motor in a Hammond big time.
Okay.
And so essentially I bought this brand new piece of digital technology, which is basically just in a weird way, it's a converter.
Yep.
It converts 50 hertz to 50 hertz.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you get them for, if you bring an American organ over, which is 60 hertz, you get a converter from 60 to 50.
Yeah.
But when you do that, it really is locked at 50. You can put dodgy frequencies in and it'll stay 50.
Okay.
So this is the same thing, but it's just weird because you're converting from 50. You're converting from whatever almost, somewhere around 50.
Yeah.
Dead set.
To stabilizing 50. Yeah. I understand. Yeah. Yeah, I understand electrics and electronics. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
So what happened recently is we did a gig in Maroya down south on just before lockdown actually, and it was freezing cold. And it was a Rush set up, a festival, small stage, and got the organ on there, the six of us sort of lugging it around on stage because there's not much room and all that sort of stuff, and get it on there, and I'm firing up, and it wouldn't get up to speed. Like it actually somehow, I don't quite understand, but it locked itself an octave down. So all the notes were an octave down, and it was useless. I couldn't play it. And I just was there for hours, and we got heaters out and we're trying to heat it up and all this sort of stuff. And it didn't end up happening. So I always have, actually, I've got this little digital one. You can see just a bit of it there.
Yeah,
that's a new digital hab, and I keep that in the car as a spare.
Okay.
So after, 20 minutes of fussing around with the real thing.
Yeah.
All right, all six of us grabbed it again and got it back off the stage and then started, setting up the little one. I still use the Leslie, though, the Leslie speaker. So still sounded great. Just looks a bit more like a toy. But ironically, the thing that went wrong was the new piece of gear that I put in there.
Right.
But having said that, I don't have to do much to it at all.
Wow, that's great.
There's one reoccurring problem, which happens every maybe, 10 gigs, but it's easy for me to fix. I know how to do it pretty quick now. I've just got to open it up, get the keys up, and I've kind of got to just jangle this key stop, which gets locked, and put it back together. It's not too bad. The clav actually is more maintenance heavy than the organ in a way.
Right. But more dynamically moving parts, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And sort of more fragile, I would say, as well.
Okay.
It's fully. Do you want me to talk about the clap?
Yeah, I definitely want to know about the clap. So is that a modified instrument? It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. So it's a 70s clavinet, which is like, Stevie would play on the on Superstition, and a lot of the great disco stuff and a lot of funk stuff.
Yep.
Had the clav, a bit of rock stuff. Led Zeppelin used it a bit as well, and a lot of soundtracks. Yep. But yeah, so it's a fully stringed keyboard. There's one string for every note, and it's like hammering it works kind of like by hammering a fretboard of a guitar, basically, if you think of that.
Yep.
It's pretty similar to that. And it uses guitar gauge strings, guitar pickups. So it's got that same sort of frequency range as a guitar, that kind of
right,
that area. But it's always had a cool sound of its own, though, because of the way, the attack. And it's very stiff too, it doesn't, and you can play it like a keyboard, obviously.
Okay.
It's a keyboard.
Sorry, is it weighted keys?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, no, not really. No.
Okay.
No, there's no real mechanism
okay.
behind it giving any weight. It's just a spring, push it down onto the string, and the string's there's a little anvil, the strings lying there, and then the hammer comes down, just bang.
That's it.
And then off it goes, and there's a bit of a dampener here to stop it from ringing on.
Mm-hmm.
It's all, there's nothing much to it really. But, but in the 70s, saxophone player Buddy Castle designed this whammy bar system to go in it, sort of based on a Bixby whammy system on a guitar. So it just goes along the bridge, and big whammy bar sort of sticks out the guts of it, and stretches all the strings at the same time, which is pretty nuts. But actually kind of makes it work really well, because that kind of tension of the strings is the perfect weight to sort of to use the whammy bar. It just sort of feels great having that right amount of tension there. It just means you can get all this extra expression out of it, and it automatically ends up sounding very guitar-like.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's a bit hard to avoid, that kind of sound, because it's just there. It's there when you do it, and because you have to use one hand, you're generally playing sort of chords and single note things, because the other hand's on the whammy bar.
Just while we're talking about, can
amazing thing.
So people can hear it. Can I play off? This is off your new album too. Can I just play a little bit of Voodoo Child, because that's,
sure. So this is using a wah.
So
I've got the whammy bar and the wah wah pedal as well.
Yeah, cool. If you want to hear the rest of that song, go buy the album, people.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
So if you didn't know anything about Lachy Doley and the fact that he plays these instruments, maybe you weren't a guitarist, you'd go, geez, that's a cool sounding guitar. but it's not. Yeah. And you can hear the harmonics too, and they're not the kind of a natural harmonic that you get from trying to play guitar.
Yeah. No, there is definitely differences in there, but it's real as well. That's the thing, it has pickups and strings, and it feeds back. It does a lot of those things that a guitar does. So to a lot of people, it's just you would assume it's guitar. And then you listen a bit more closely and you're like, oh, actually, yeah, cool.
Yeah. So I might have cut you off when you were starting to talk about the wah-wah. So, yeah, sorry. Talk a little bit about how that is the wah-wah part of it something you incorporated?
Yeah. I used to play clav without the whammy bar for a long time.
Yeah.
Especially with my brother. We had a band called The Hands. And so that was always a part of my setup with the clav was the wah, especially because, you know, you'd hit the keys and it was sometimes a bit out of tune, but it was very, you know, you can't get any modulation or wobble out of it. So having the wah pedal was a huge advantage for me, just using the clav. One thing, it sounded great, but it was also like I could use it subtly for modulation. I could also use it for, you know, make a rhythm out of the wah that wasn't there. And so I've always loved having the wah on the clav. So when I got the whammy bar, I just always had the wah there as well. But yeah, I do plenty of songs without the wah pedal, and just using the whammy bar. But yeah, they just together, they just work. They work so amazing, you know, just having that extra expression there with the wah pedal and the whammy bar, and just, you know, with the fast vibratos, just slowly crawling the wah pedal in and stuff, you can just get the most sort of beautiful tones out of it. I did a version of Sleepwalk, you know that song? Did a version of that about a year and a bit ago, and yeah, that's using the wah, even though I'm not using the wah like a wacka wacka thing. Okay. I'm just using it as a real slow filter to go with the whammy bar, and it's almost like you're finding a sweet spot on the wah for the clav and the whammy bar to sort of take off or something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
you can do a lot of that kind of. You just find that right spot and you wave of the whammy bar, and it's sort of.
That's awesome. That's really cool. It's fascinating here you're talking about it, and I mean, obviously, this being audio, you're actually you're playing it while you're talking to me. You got your head down and you're finding those spots. It's cool, man. It's really cool to watch and listen. Cool. Yeah. Going back to this may apply to the clav as well, but your Hammond organ and you're playing, and you talked earlier about the percussive part of the Hammond. Being a drummer myself, and you know, listening to you play, you know, you're playing you play a lot of notes, sometimes percussive notes. I'm curious as to the patterns that you play and the stickings. Are they you know rudiments from drummers, you know, we have our rudiments that we learn, that kind of thing. Is there any of that type of thing in your playing, like certain patterns that you've practiced sort of off the organ, like on your lap or something like that, like a
no, not really.
Or Jackie's gone, hey man, that's a double paradiddle something, you know? No, it's nothing like that.
No, nothing like that. I just
overthought that too much then.
No, not at all. No, but it really came. I think a lot of the way I play has come from almost my limitations in a way, like or my laziness. Like a lot of the interesting and sort of peculiar things that I do, I think we're often trying to find another way or an easy way to do something that I didn't want to spend the time practicing on or trying to get too into, or something weird like that. And then all of a sudden it becoming a thing, you know, doing it so much that it becomes a thing on its own. And a lot of that rhythm kind of came about that way, you know, like I was playing the piano and, you know, I just at the piano, so with no bass player, but I wanted to fill in that sound. And I was like, I couldn't be bothered learning this complicated bass line. And I'd be like, just sort of chopping away and just filling in all the gaps. So every time I wasn't playing anything with my right hand, I'd hit something with my left, either two things pretty quickly, two different notes. And then my right hand would do something, and then my left hand would do something. And it was this kind of, so instinctively it was this kind of on-off thing with each hand or finger kind of thing. I don't know. This is not videoed, is it? I shouldn't be worrying about the video, seeing my hands. But if you could see me, I'm flapping my hands all about.
Yeah, he's got 2 fingers in one ear and he's got one up his nose. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So it kind of, a lot of the percussive stuff, I think, sort of graduated from that. And just really became a thing that I could kind of fill in every kind of 16th or every triplet if I wanted to, with either a 2-note or a 3-note pattern in my left hand, and then a 2-chord thing in my right, or the 1 chord, or just 2 stabs with the right, or whatever. But it just became, and then I could kind of move anywhere I wanted to on the keyboard eventually, doing those little patterns, and just sort of doing them quite ridiculously fast in a way, because it's kind of a bit more super fast run with that hand, super fast with that hand, or just even left, right, left, right, left, right. And just, you can just do that so fast. That little bits of that even just became natural when I wasn't doing percussive stuff, you know, it would just, it would come out on, you know, when I'm just going to one note, you know, I wouldn't just be hitting the note. I'd be doing a little to that note, you know, or lots of that triplety sort of stuff to emphasize notes rather than just a like a run up or just different ways to give each note weight and things like that. And it just sort of, it's almost impossible for me to not do these days. It's so sort of just a part of what I do, you know. I could almost probably never hear me just turn a note on without a bit of a ticking or a ticking or a you know. Yeah. Almost, not quite, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
well, so in saying that, then when you do sideman stuff, do you have to tell yourself to kind of pull back, or is that part of the reason why that person's got you to come and play with them?
Bit of both, I think.
Okay.
I'll definitely. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have got any gigs if I was just, you know, spewing my stuff all over the place, all over their songs.
Sure.
You know, I probably did that a little bit more when I was
a bit younger. Yep.
But no, there's those things. I know they sound very full on at the moment, like that percussive stuff, but it can actually be incredibly subtle and really sweet as well. So it's not this kind of bombastic thing, even though it's the same motion. But especially with the drawbars and the volume pedal and everything that goes with it, it becomes it can become a really sweet thing, just an emphasizing thing that someone might not even notice until you took it out, and then it would be like, oh, that sounds different. So a little bit of both, I think, with that.
Cool. You play with a lot of physicality, you know.
Yeah.
You know, this is on the Hammond, and when we talk at the whammy, your arms going, you're up, you're standing, you know, you're moving all over the place. Injuries. What sort of injuries have you?
I didn't expect you to say that.
No, I didn't think you would. You would have heard the story, and when I think whammy, I think of Pete Townshend and he does that, you know, the helicopter thing with his hand.
Oh yeah.
And he was playing a gig with Simon Phillips, drummer Simon Phillips, the poster behind me. And I talk about him because just on Sunday that podcast I told you we were doing, it was all about Simon Phillips. So anyway,
oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So doing a deep dive into that, I listened to an interview that Simon Phillips did, and he was talking about playing in Pete Townshend's band. And one time Pete was in front of him and the whammy actually went straight through his hand.
Oh.
So you know, he pulled it out, right? So I'm not suggesting anything that dramatic has happened with your whammy clav, but
no,
it just made me think about have you whacked it too hard or mishit it or
No, I haven't. Not with
come off your stool or flipped over the front of your Hammond or
I've done things like that.
stuck your head in the Leslie and knocked yourself out.
Okay, my head's too big to do that. Get in there. Literally as well.
Yeah.
It's no. So with the whammy clav, I had a few people go, have you ever got your fingers stuck underneath the whammy bar when it goes down?
In the slot there too. Because you got the slot where the whammy bar goes through. Yeah.
I sort of had never thought about it at all. It never happened. I never thought about it. But as soon as that was mentioned to me, I all of a sudden got a bit worried about it. But when I'm doing it, I sort of think about it once, but then it goes away.
It goes away.
Luckily, but
yeah.
I think I don't know. It's just not. It's all sort of automatic when I'm up there. So I don't think I have to worry about that. But if actually I think it's on Voodoo Child from the new album.
Mm-hmm.
There is a point because I leave the front bracket off the clav, so all the machine heads are exposed at the front where the string ties to. They're all along the front, so you can easily tune them. But just like on a guitar, when you change your string, you chop the excess string off. There's a sharp little pointy bit of string there. So yeah, I think I went down on that last note of the solo on the whammy clav, and I usually use it with my left hand, but in this case I went over and used it with my right hand, so I could do this big low bend on the low note going up to the E flat, and sit on that because I know it hits it perfectly and I could slam it down.
Yeah,
and then somehow I just clipped my thumb on the on one of the strings underneath the front there. So you see me, I'm like this on the clip.
It's bleeding.
But that's one of them. But I've done heaps of things like, my ankle, I've stepped on the, jumping up and down, I've stepped on the side of the drum stool.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-prong thing or whatever. And just rolled my ankle. I've done that quite a few times. That's really bad.
Jeez.
Just sort of, trip over wedges. Put the foot off the side of the roll out stage riser.
Yeah.
It's, nothing too bad. Yeah. Nothing too bad. Hopefully I'll be all right.
When did you first discover you could sing?
Well, I thought I discovered I could sing when I was about, what was I? I was 10. Yeah, exactly 10. When we had a holiday up to Brisbane for the World Expo, so 88.
88, yep.
And they had a booth there or a part of it. I remember seeing it on the TV, so I knew it was there and I wanted to do it. Basically recorded karaoke. Mm-hmm. Go in there and they had these backing tracks and then they had a big microphone and you just sung over the top of it and then they gave you a cassette afterwards. And I did Wild Thing by the Trogs. And I remember getting the cassette and just thinking, wow, this is amazing. I can actually sing. So for ages, I thought I was quite a good singer until I had to start singing at gigs. And then it was just like, oh my God, you're a terrible singer. This is the worst. And it took me a long time to really build up any confidence again to start singing. And after I just fell down to earth and but slowly got better and slowly worked out what I could do well, what I just know I can't do. And then discovering new things as well in my voice and then tailoring my songs to the way I sing, I suppose, and things like that. I'm not a singer as such, like a real definition of a singer. I just feel I can sort of know what I can do well, and I try and play to those strengths. Similar to what I do on keyboard in a way as well. And and I just luckily I'm quite happy with sort of where my voice has gotten to. I'd still love it to be way better than it is, but you got to work with what you can and try and make the most of it. And luckily, I think there's something there that kind of people like, and
sounds pretty
exciting.
bloody good to me.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
it's a bit polarizing, I think, much the same as my playing. A lot of people really like it, and then a lot of people don't like it.
I think it's unique because it's deep.
Oh,
that's what I like about it. Very, very, very unique.
It's deep, but trying to be high.
Before we go into detail about your album and the nuts and bolts of that, you have on your bio that you're playing with Roger Waters next year.
Yeah.
Wow. Tell us about that. People who don't know who Roger Waters is, he was the original bass player and songwriter, singer for Pink Floyd.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's just amazing. Like, it still doesn't even feel real. Like, it's happening. So I'm going over in June next year for rehearsals, and then North American tour, July to August. Just insane venues. The way I explain it is that Madison Square Gardens is the smallest venue on the whole tour. So it's just, crazy. And but that's all well and good, but just playing with a legend is like Roger Waters and those songs and those sounds, it's just all the sounds I love, it's the organ, the piano. He even wants the whammy clav, which I'm stoked about.
Yeah, awesome.
And then all the amazing synth sounds as well, which I haven't really delved into, but there's another keyboard player who's been doing it for years who's doing all that stuff. So I'm just doing the organ and the piano.
Yep.
And whirly, and I'll probably some other things on the clav. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was crazy. That happened early 2020. So early last year, I got a call from his manager, and I think it was it was a number I didn't know. It looked international. I just figured it was just
one of those hoaxes,
dodgy spam or hoax or whatever.
Yeah.
But they normally don't leave a voicemail. But this left a voicemail. I was like, oh, okay. So I had to listen to the thing. It's like, it's Mark Samick here. I manage an artist called Roger Waters. Oh, right, okay. Roger would like to chat with you about potentially joining his tour, his North American tour later on in the year. Please give us a call back or when you can. And of course, I just rang straight back as soon as I heard it. And so I spoke to Mark for a bit, and then Roger called, and spoke to him for like an hour. Probably about, he was telling me stories, things on the road, and how previous tours and incarnations of the band and stuff like that. And had a great old chat with him, and then we organised to do some remote sessions. So I did one remote session playing Hammond and whammy clav on a couple of songs of his, new and old. Couple of Floyd ones as well, at Rancom Street Studios. And then we did another one in March 2020 at 301. And I had him on Skype for that one. That was nuts because it was meant to happen at 10 p.m. And so I got there at like 6 or something, and we set up the organ and recorded, got it all set up, sounding beautiful. And then it was going to be using some system that was going through Pro Tools to him over in the UK. I think he was in the UK at that time. And all that stuff. And then it was just it was a tech nightmare. Like, nothing worked. It was just, and I was just getting so tired as well, you know, and then it comes on to like, midnight and we still haven't got anywhere and everyone's getting frustrated. And nothing's talking to each other. Yeah, and I think by 2 a.m, or maybe even later, we just went with a dodgy Skype thing on the side, and I think he was just getting audio through and video through that. I think, like, oh no, I think we got sort of the audio working, but not the video. I don't know. It was very convoluted, and we made it work somehow by about 2 a.m. And yeah, then for like 3 hours or 4 hours, I was playing on his tracks till dawn the next day, basically, just putting ideas, taking direction from him. You know, he's going, oh, he was really particular about all sorts of things. It was great. Like, it's like, oh, that's good. Can you cut the length of that note off a little bit long, make it a little bit shorter there, and then hold this one a little bit longer, and oh, that's good. Or yeah, or you know, don't play quite as many notes in that chord, or what. He just had he just really knew what he wanted in his head, and it was just so easy to follow him, which was great. And I think he was impressed that anything that he wanted from out of the organ with the drawbars or anything, I could just do naturally, and I think he really liked that. And then after that, he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And then pretty much the next day, it all got cancelled because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I got the gig, then the tour got cancelled, and it's just been postponed by 2 years. So next year, hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll all happen.
Oh man, and you know, with the Roger Waters show, it'll be visual as well, because he,
oh yeah,
you know, he puts a lot of effort into that side of things. So that's awesome.
Absolutely,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So that's just super exciting. Yeah, a lot of it's with all the craziness that's going on in the world. I can't say I'm not happy about the exciting things that are sort of opportunities that are happening and coming up. That's for sure.
That's it.
I've been very, very blessed and lucky.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Okay, let's talk about the new album now, Studio 301 Sessions.
Yeah.
When did the idea come into your head? Well, actually, before I say that, just explain to everyone what this project is.
Yeah, sure. So in a nutshell, it's a live studio performance. So we played live as if we were at a gig, and we did have an audience of 20 people in there, all wearing headphones. So there was no PA. So the sound is really good. It's just like recording in a studio, except, you know, a bit of spill from drums and a couple of other acoustic things. But generally it's that kind of studio quality, and but still with all the excitement and that kind of and that fun aspect of playing live in the songs and the performance. So, which I think is perfect for me, because I love playing live, and all my favorite versions of any of the songs that we've recorded ultimately end up being a live one, you know.
Right.
From some gig, I'll go, oh, that's my favorite version of that, the one we. So it just, yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be something really special, and yeah, I mean that's the concept in a nutshell. That the way it came about was I did a similar one with Ray Beadle, incredible guitar player, blues guitar player, Sydney guitar player, and he was doing. It hasn't come out yet, but he was doing a Stax kind of review album of songs that were on. So it was all the blues tracks on the Stax label. Yeah. So they're not super known for their blues tracks, but they do have a couple of great blues artists on that label. And he wanted to play tribute to them on this sort of recording. And it was a similar thing. It was at 301 and 20 people. And you know, we played live. I think we did it a little bit different. We did a couple of songs twice on that one and stuff. So it was a little bit more, wasn't quite so like a gig, but it was just great. It sounded amazing. It was so much fun. As soon as we did it, I was like, oh, I really, really want to do this. This would be so cool. And I thought, I think that was probably like February this year we did that. And I thought, I really want to do this. And I looked at the calendar and it was like my birthday was coming up. I was saying, oh, wouldn't it be cool to be able to do something special on my birthday? And then, you know, it might make it a bit more easier to get some of the people to play on it as well if I say it's my birthday. Guilt them into it.
It's a birthday present, yeah.
But yeah, so it was great. I just ended up getting, you know, as many of my favorite musicians as I could to come play on it. So, you know, I got my brother to come play. I got, you know, Mahalia to sing. I got Karen Lee Andrews to sing. I got the horns in. So I got Ray Kasser, Matt Keegan, Andy Bickers, and Anthony Cable. I got Juanita Tippins and Beck Jensen to sing as well. I got Franco Raggett to come in and play guitar. Yep. And also Vincent Sebastian, who I hadn't met before. It was just recommended to me by Declan Kelly.
Yep.
And he came in, he didn't even know the songs, and he just smashed it. It was amazing.
Yep. And he gets a little solo too, doesn't he?
He does, at the end, that's right. Yeah. So he was just an added bonus, which is just really the icing on the cake. But it just turned out so well, and there's just so much love in the room and having such a good time, and everyone just played incredibly. And obviously Jackie and Joel, you know, we played together so many times for so many gigs. It's like they just, you know, absolutely perfect and perfect playing. And they just know me so well. They know exactly what I'm going to do. And but everyone just fitted in. I mean, we only had a small rehearsal with the horns, just me and the horns at Ray's place, and they just, you know, they can just follow. They're that good. We're all doing it live. There's no like, let's stop and do that again. It's just like, yep. You know, there's a few times where, you know, I go off form because I inevitably can't do something the same way twice. You know, they just follow, and it's just, they just made it so easy and it just turned out better than I could have imagined. You know, I didn't know if it was going to be an album or if it's just going to be videos. I didn't know if I was going to use the whole thing or just put out, you know, 5 or 6 songs or something, the best 5 or 6. Yeah. But the whole bloody thing turned out incredible. So I put the whole thing out.
That's great. What I, you know, one of many things I like about it is, you know, you get a lot of albums these days and 25 minutes, 32 minutes, go out to 40 minutes. But, you know, this album is an hour and 22 minutes I've got here. Yeah. Yeah.
There is one song off the CD because I couldn't fit it. The CD's can only fit 90 minutes, I think. Right. So I did have to leave one song off that. Right. But it's about as long as CDs can get.
Yeah, but it's great, man. I love it. And my favorite, I mean, I love your take on Voodoo Child. I think it's awesome. But Only Cure for the Blues is the blues. That's awesome. Love it.
Thanks.
That's great.
That's a funny song, that one. Like it was. I remember I was just searching for a cool song idea for a blues track, and that came into my head, and then I thought, that's got to have been done. Like, that's got to be a blues song already. The only cure for the blues is the blues. Yeah. And I thought, for sure. So I went onto Google and I was like, all right, it's going to be here.
Here it comes.
It's going to come up straight away.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing there. Okay, let's go on to Spotify, have a look. Nothing there. YouTube, nothing there. I was like, yes, all right. I'm going with it. I'm doing this.
I'm going to do it now before someone takes it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. You mixed and mastered it yourself too, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. So when did you first get into that aspect of your music? And was it out of necessity, you know, cost wise? You chose to do it yourself, or did you want to do it for the artistic?
No, it was definitely a cost thing.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm a bit of a control freak as well when it comes to that sort of stuff as well, especially like, Hammond sounds.
Yeah, right.
Things like that. A way a lot of musos are, for better or for worse. So in the past, I'd mixed a lot of my albums. I mixed half of the first one. Actually, no, all of the first one. Just trying to think. Actually, I think I mixed pretty much all of my stuff until Make or Break. And then, I got someone in to do that. And that turned out excellent, but was very expensive, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, it's just the way it is. But, so Paul McKercher was the guy who mixed it here. He did an awesome job. And, but yes, very expensive. And that was all mixed out of the box too. So for this one, it was just like, all right, we'll just see how I go. And if it's mixing itself easily, then we'll just go down this route. But if it's not, then, and it's becoming too much of a hassle, I'll get someone to do it. But with 14 tracks, it was going to get expensive. And and in the end, I got it to a place that I was really happy with, and because it's a live recording, the sounds are all pretty similar. So once I got it to a place where I liked it, it wasn't too hard to mix the whole album from there. But I did get quite anal about it. I was cutting out all the bleed from, because my vocal mic at times was pointing right at the drums, and I really wanted to get that studio sound and that compressed sound. So I was doing a lot of cutting spill out and things like that, so I could really, really kind of give it some oomph and some vibe. Yep. But if you listen to it, it's definitely definitely got the compressors working. That's for sure.
The drums sound fantastic, especially that sort of fat, Jackie's fat snare drum. Like the bottom, you can hear the bottom end in that drum.
That thing's out of this world. That snare.
Boom. Yeah, you can. Yeah. You just feel that bottom note. It's great. It's awesome.
The funny story behind that.
Okay.
Second snare. We're in Europe, traveling from, I think, Italy. Then we had to go to Canada, but via the Netherlands. And my booking agent at the time, Martin, who sadly has passed away in the last, a few months ago, that he was with us, and he'd had an accident with a nectarine, and poor guy had bitten into a nectarine. He doesn't admit it. He never admitted it, but I think he thought it was an apple. And he broke his front tooth. And so we initially had the tickets booked to go, all of us, to the Netherlands. And then he would get off and we'd fly off to Canada. So we got to the airport and we checked everything in. Jackie's snares, my clav, all the bits that we had to take. And we checked in, and then we were just waiting for the plane. I think it got delayed or something. And then Martin goes, "Oh, I've got to get back. I've got to get home. I can't wait around here. I'm just going to get the train. I'm going to get the train there, stuff this." So he goes and gets the train back to the Netherlands and we fly off to Canada. But then we realized that the snare drum and something else was on his baggage name. So they just never arrived in Canada. And it's like, oh, man, come on. So luckily it wasn't the clav. Luckily I had the clav. Yeah. And then Jackie is resourceful as ever. He knows someone everywhere. Yeah. And he had I think some sort of boutique drum maker that he knew over there. And basically, I think we went straight there from the airport to go pick them up. This incredible fat snare and then a more standard size snare. But that fat snare, that big one, that is just, he always has a fat snare. He's got a few different ones, but that one in particular is just like something insane about it.
Yeah.
So you just put a mic in front of it and it just goes whoosh.
Yeah.
It's incredible, really is. It's out of this world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So where can we get your album? Is it still available? CDs, vinyl, and stuff like that.
That's right. There's about 30 vinyl left, I think.
Yep.
But all available from my website. So just LachyDoley.com/301 if you want to go straight there, or just go to LachyDoley.com and find a link to it.
I'll put a link in the show notes here. So.
Awesome, yeah. Or even any dodgy spelling of Lachy Doley will get you there eventually. And some of the shops too. Yeah, some of the JBs should have the CD, and the vinyl is unfortunately incredibly delayed. So it'll potentially be sold out before they ever reach the shops, I think.
Right.
But I mean, that's a good thing as well.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the easiest way, just my website.
Yeah, that's cool. Going back to the pronunciation of your name, like I've seen you put a couple of posts, pronounce this, and it's like Can you share some versions of what people have thought your name sounds like? Where you have to spell it out for people?
Well, it's always funniest when you're in Europe, I think. Obviously, Australia's totally fine, obviously. But Europe and Italy, and it's like lychee. Get that one a lot. Lychee, like a lychee.
Right, yeah.
Lachy, Lachy. Just so they're all pretty much just lots of Lachy and Lychee and Lachy and Dooley and Dooley and just You get some pretty far out ones there. Jackie always likes to say like, what was it? Lincoln de Julio or something. I think he exaggerates them a little bit more than they actually were, but there have been some pretty outrageous ones in the past.
Yeah.
It'd be funny to, I was thinking it'd be great to have them all on video and be able to like do like a clip where they just sort of one after the other. Ladies and gentlemen, Lachy Doley. But and they get the same thing in America too. I don't think Lachlan is a common common name over in America at all.
It is in New Zealand.
Some guy
it's very common in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I had quite a few friends Lachlan when I was still living in New Zealand.
I had a funny comment on that thread that I put up a thread the other day, just saying, this is how you pronounce my name.
Yep. And
very cheekishly saying, this is actually how you pronounce my name. It's okay. Just buy one of my albums.
It all links back to here.
Yeah.
click this.
But, someone put on there, this is absolute nonsense. If you want people to pronounce it Lochy, like Locky, then your name should be Lochy. This is absolutely ridiculous. So it was like, what do I do? It's my name. I was named that way.
How did you reply? Have you ordered the vinyl yet?
No, I just didn't reply.
No. Yeah,
I never reply. I learned not to do that a long time ago.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I was going to ask this. I'll just quickly ask this now. You've got one of your songs that's had over 4.5 million views on Facebook.
Yeah.
What does that do to you? I mean, do you feel like after seeing a video go viral, do you feel any sort of pressure after that to try and match it, or do you know once it's is that a silly question? I'm just that hot. The whole viral thing it fascinates me.
Yeah, like I mean, I do. It does set a goal, I suppose, after it happens that you always compare to, or and which I've had viral videos a few times now.
Okay.
It does. Yeah, I suppose you do. If it doesn't sort of really take off, you're always a little bit like, what was wrong with that? But but sometimes Sometimes the things that you think are going to go nuts don't go nuts.
Don't go nuts, yeah.
And then some of the ones that you just didn't pay any attention to are the ones that take off. Like the song that you're talking about is one of mine called Stop Listening to the Blues.
Yeah.
So that was the video version of that song from Broadbeach in 2016. That was kind of my second video that kind of went a bit viral, but that one just kept going and is still going. And it still baffles me a bit because it's not flashy like some of my other ones. It's just it's a boogaloo, and it's cool as though, like it just feels good. Just it's that kind of groove. But something about it. I think maybe the name of it also has something to do with it. It's a bit of a like, stop listening to the blues. What do you mean stop listening to the blues?
Yeah, check this out.
Yeah, I think that's got something to do with it as well.
Right.
But but with all the other things, it was interesting. Like in 2015, I played a festival called Mitchell Creek Festival in Queensland, and that was kind of the first one I really properly videoed and recorded. And I was I was happy with probably half of that performance, and I put out all the videos, and there's a video of Downtown Small Town, song of mine. And, I put them out. They were out for 6 months or whatever, just ticked along, had a couple of views, and then I thought, I really love the solo that I did in Downtown Small Town on the organ, and then I started to learn more about that. People don't even get that far into a song, into a video, really. Yeah. Most people just, will watch 10, 15 seconds or whatever and then go to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that sucks. All right, I'm just going to make a video of the solo. Just started at the solo. And, I did that. And then all of a sudden, bam, like it was just getting shared to all the keyboard forums around Facebook and off Facebook and just getting all these comments from all these, people saying, wow, I haven't seen anything like this, since the 70s, Hammond played like that. And it's like, keep getting all these comparisons and all this other stuff, and just kept on getting shared and shared. So that was the very first kind of taste of that happening. And then came the Stop Listening to the Blues, and then various other things. And then, of course, the Whammy Clav came after that. And then that was a whole new, completely different reason, though, just because of the uniqueness of it.
That's it.
That I had a few viral videos with that, and continued. Yeah, and I continue to get these sort of semi-viral videos. But the Voodoo Child one, there's a clip of me playing Voodoo Child, which was handheld by my friend and business partner Kieran, who he just filmed it while we're recording it in the studio. So this is before the 301 version. And that just went absolutely nutso. Like it just sounds like, the drums are coming out of the monitors. The clav is coming out of the amp, so you can hear that. But it's just raw and loose. But that something about that, just that authentic sort of crappy video, but still being something that a lot of people hadn't witnessed yet. That one just went nuts, and that would have been seen just, tens of millions of times.
Wow, man.
I just keep getting all these like Avid, who make Pro Tools.
Yeah.
They just rip the clip off, they just download it and they post it on their forum. They've posted it so many times on their Twitter, on their Instagram, their Facebook pages, and they credit me.
I was going to say, yeah, that's good.
They do credit me, and they give me and it brings in a new influx of fans. But if you look on their pages, it's like they've had millions of views on their posts of it as well.
Right.
So
wow,
that one in particular I'm sure would be up there the highest. But yeah, it's funny, it's definitely, when that does happen, all your socials just go, whoosh, they go up another, 10,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then basically it's just like, I think I'm in a good position. I'm lucky that I've got all this other stuff around it, that people can see, get hooked in by that, I don't know, the viral sort of bait almost.
Yep.
And if they're really keen on it, they'll follow it, or they might even do a bit of research and look a bit further.
Yep.
And then the fact that I've got this huge body of work and the 7 albums and all these other live clips, full songs, because that's the only thing that's going to make a fan is, people watching full songs.
Yep.
I don't think watching little clips you're going to get a fan out of. You have to use that to try and get them into, then if you're lucky, they'll watch a full song or a full concert.
Yep.
And if they like that, then I think, you've won someone over and potentially a new fan. So I'm lucky that I don't just have the viral bits and then nothing else. Otherwise, I'd be nothing.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Do you think that's why? Do you think that's how Roger Waters found you?
It is, yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, wow,
yeah.
fantastic.
So, another, he told me the solo one that I did at Lazotte's in Newcastle. There's a video of that. That one went pretty crazy, an organ solo.
Right.
And, he said if he was searching for a Hammond organ player for the band.
Right.
On the internet. And he came across me, watched that video. He loved that. And then, just like I said, he went in deeper and then found the Blues on Broadbeach performance of 2016. And he was talking to me about various things that were happening in that performance that he loved. And particularly one of the songs, Still in Love. And some of the things I was doing on that. And, isn't that crazy? That's the world we live in now. It's amazing. It is incredible that
it is.
I think the only way in the past to get a gig like that, or for me to even tour Europe the way I have, would have been for me to either get a record deal, a big worldwide record deal, or go and move over there, actually go and live in, the US or live in London. But the fact that it's happened for me, not from home, it's amazing, incredible.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. All right, Lachy, man, thanks so much for chatting with me tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
It's been cool, man. I hope you don't
ramble on too much.
No, not at all. I hope you don't mind my weird questions about all the intricacies of your instruments and that kind of stuff. But all that stuff fascinates me. I dig it, man. It's really cool.
Oh, no, thank you. Anytime.
No, sweet as. Can't wait to see you play live.
I can't wait to play live.
Yeah, sweet. Good luck. Good luck with the sales and everything with the album and with everything else. And of course,
cheers, Steve. Yeah, good luck with the podcast.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. And
it's great. This is another great thing about the new world, isn't it? You being able to put on your own show like this and have all these dedicated listeners come and hear you every week, and love it.
Yeah, it's a trip. Thanks, man. Thanks so much, Lachy.
Cheers, Stevie.
Yeah, all right, bro. Take it easy, bud. All right, see ya. Bye.
The only cure for the blues is the blues. The only cure for the blues is the blues. I'm gonna take heat from my briefcase, We're gonna get together and let the good time roll. Only medicine for the blues is the blues. The only medicine for the blues is the blues. How about it for the horns of conviction, ladies and gentlemen? Please make him feel welcome. You know him. The legend on the drums. Please give it up for Mr. Jackie Barnes.